24 hours without any additive, it starts to change the taste. So you have to have a way of selling juice on, a bit of celery, a bit of this, and a bit of that. Okay? And I create a challenge for people to come up with something they define as something zingy. And they create different recipes. And they save it with me. And whenever you say you want something zingy, my app gives you options, various recipes for something zingy. What have I done? Your business model has moved from I make juice and run the risk of losing money if they don't buy them, to I supply fruits on demand, to I'm not using an app to control what people eat. That is what they do to us. So when you think about your business model, forget about your ideas. You have been able to figure out that people want to live healthy. You know fruits are good, but what business model are you going to use to enter this fruits business? Do you get the logic? So it's not about the idea, it is the execution, the business model to execute that idea. Some business models require a lot of pain, hard work, and success is not guaranteed. Somebody else will do the same thing and will be minting money. And the key is that those guys are operating above the digital divide. They are adopting technology. They are network orchestrators and technology creators. And that is why when you talk about innovation, it is very important how you infuse innovation and technology to whatever you're trying to do. You want to have a poultry. People are stealing eggs from you every day. 50% of your eggs are entering the pockets of those who help you count the eggs. But you can use technology to eliminate that, whereby you can automate the selection of the eggs and everything. Question is, why are you not applying technology to it? So as you think about your business, your ideas, think about what model, what is the secret that you're going to use to make money. And if that secret is known to everybody, it's no longer a secret. So it's not a good business model. So that is why you need to really think about what you want to do and how you want to go about doing it. Be intentional about Africa's prosperity. That's why we're here. Think big. Think big does not mean go global. By the way, I belong to a different school of thought. Okay? InterSwitch works with MasterCard, a global company. We work with Visa. A few days ago, we announced a relationship with American Express. We work with Discover. We work with China Union Pay. These are all global companies. But in our market, we own Verve. Okay? Why? There's a problem we solve in our market that the global brands cannot solve. I'm not trying to solve the problem in Cameroon. Nigeria has 200 million people, 200 million problems. That is more than enough. At some point, I need to work with other parties. It's called strategic alliance. Sometimes we waste resources expanding to many markets when we don't need to. We are in Uganda, we're in Kenya, we're in Gambia. It's not easy. Okay? And meanwhile, Nigeria is still 10% penetration. Think about it. If I want Verve cards to be accepted in the US, I don't need to go to the US and start talking to merchants. McDonald's, accept Verve. I'll look for somebody who has done that before and tell them, I have a big market in Nigeria. I'm a dominant player. I'm a market leader. And my people called Nigerians travel a lot. So some of my customers will come to your country and they can't use their card. I would like us to enter a relationship where they can use my card in your area and then we share the money. I don't have to invest. So as you think about going global, recognize that there are different models also for globalization. And you need to think of the one that works for you. When you think very big, you can start small. I've seen people who take their parents' entire gratuity what your parents worked for 30 years, they give it to you because you tell them you have a fantastic idea. You go and blow the thing. In 1 year, you have finished what your father worked for 30 years. And you're back to square one. Start small. Picky way go no book. Now from small picky they know am. Start small. If that idea cannot be successful when it's on a small scale, it's very likely not to be successful. Don't go and start on a very big scale. If you do not know, if you know you are going to make a mistake, it should be unwise to take a pen to write on a plain sheet of paper where you know there's a pencil and eraser nearby. Again. And they attacked him for changing his position. So he asked them some questions. He said, when events change, I change my mind. What do you do? When the facts change, I change my mind. What do you do, sir? When my information changes, I alter my conclusions. What do you do? What am I trying to say? Don't be a slave to your decisions. We all fall for that trap. Don't be a slave to your decision. That you can come and tell your people, I said we should go to the north. Now, I think we should go to the south. It's not you being unreliable. It is you taking the facts that you have, sharing with them to say, based on the facts I had before, I thought going north was better. With what I now know, we should go south. Some of us make the mistakes of sticking on to something that we think trying harder will make it work. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. If the facts have changed, the facts have changed. And you need to adopt a new strategy. I'm talking about facts. There's one fact I want to share before I leave. It is the coronavirus fact. So, remember that website I told you about earlier? I went there again just yesterday to check what are they saying about this coronavirus. So this is the map of the world based on people that have caught this virus. And as you can see, Africa is a thin line. So we have lots of problems. But other people have problems too. I repeat, what is your perspective? We have problems. Other people have problems too. What is your perspective? So the question now is, we have one. There are things you can control, there are things you can influence, and there are things you can adapt to. Now that you know we have one, I would not want one to become 2 or 100. What is within your control? What must you influence? And what must you adapt to? So stay with the facts. More people have recovered from that disease than have died from it. So it's not the time to panic. I know some of you have started saying, there'll be no food tomorrow, let's go and hoard. Once you do that, the price of food will go up. You've raised another problem. So let's stay with the facts. To prevent it is hygiene. Let's be conscious of what is being said. Let's learn, and let's use knowledge to get things going in our society. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. I think we can do better than that. Let's give him a standing ovation. Let's rise on our feet and give him a standing ovation. So we're going to connect to Bagada in a few minutes, but we'll take a couple questions for Mr. Mitchell. So our first question is, for a young entrepreneur, please have a seat. For a young entrepreneur who wants to have a scalable business, what would you advise them to do?
Okay, so the question is, young entrepreneur that wants to have a scalable business. Fundamental point for me is the problem you are trying to solve has to be big. Scale or scalability comes from the fact that the issue you are trying to deal with is big. Okay? However, like I said before, the model you use to solve it sometimes can make it difficult for you to scale, and sometimes can make it easy for you to scale. So if you want to really scale, you need to adopt the right kind of technology. If you go back to my idea of fruits, okay? You can make fruits for 10 people, or you can give 10 people the opportunity to make fruits themselves. They're all businesses. One scales better than the other. So my view is that if you want to scale your business, one, think of big issues that you can start small with, knowing fully well that once you solve the core of it all, you can begin to expand it. And in expanding it, think about how technology can play a role in that expansion process. And like I said with the chart, facts again, Nigerians seem to be adopting mobile a lot. So if you want to reach me, is there a way you can incorporate mobile into that particular business that you're thinking of scaling?
Thank you, sir. So our next question would be, you had mentioned that having a very good business model is extremely important. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs don't know where to start. What is the risks, or what risks would they face by copying another company's business model?
Okay, this happens all the time. When you're a market leader, you wake up one day and 10 other new companies have been formed, and all of them are trying to do what you're doing, maybe even better, or somebody else has come up with something totally different. Most times you want to copy what they do. My fundamental position is don't copy. Okay? Seek to understand, seek to know, ask the right questions, and ask yourself, critique that person's business model. Okay? And I'll give an example. In our industry today, there are two kinds of players. There are people like InterSwitch who believe that profitability is important for growth. So InterSwitch became profitable in their second year. We tried everything we could to quickly achieve profitability so that we can grow sustainably. In that same industry, there are people who believe that valuation is more important. So they start today, they don't have any customers, they tell you by tomorrow, I want to be valued at $1 million. And they begin to work based on that. Now, that's another business model. If you copy that business model, you have to be in a position to raise money and keep raising money and keep raising money. If you don't have that ability, then you have a challenge. So my advice is, what are those competencies that you have? What are those capabilities that you have that you can leverage to grow your business? If you don't have the capabilities that someone else has, and you try to copy them, you're just going to fail. And that is why I say, don't copy. You can learn, critique, but at the end of the day, start with what do I have that I can use? And I'll give one crude example. Let us assume you are from a poor home, and you're going to a school where there are rich children also. You don't have a generator in your house, so power will be a problem. You can't do your homework at night because there will be no light. But some other person can turn on their generator and they'll do their assignment. You have two options. Do your assignment during the daytime when you have natural light, because that is the only capability that you have, or learn to go have a friend who has a generator where you can go to their house to do your assignment at night. The point I'm trying to make is that it starts from what you have. So start with what you have and not what some other person has, because you do not know what is driving that person's business model. Okay?
Thank you, sir. So one of my final questions. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in this room. So by a show of hands, who has their own business? Who's running their own business in this room? So a good amount of us are entrepreneurs. I can see that. In your own perspective, what are some of the faulty foundations that entrepreneurs base their businesses upon?
Okay, so I'll give one obvious one. And even as I'm giving that obvious one, I know some of you will not agree. But if you go back to the point I made, think big. When you're thinking big, you should be asking yourself, this business I want to do, can it become as big as an Apple, a Microsoft, or a Google? Is the market I'm operating from enough to make me this kind of big business? If you know you're going to have a very big business, and you know one day you're going to leave that business for others to take over, you have to begin to deliberately plan sustainability into your business. What happens the day I leave InterSwitch? If that is the case, You don't want to die on the job. You have to begin to plan the kind of team members you have from day one. Are they people that one day can rise to take over from you? So my first point is think about sustainability. And on the basis of that, look for people that you know can help you grow your business, not only for the first year, but the second, the third, and forever. That's the first point. Second point is determine your mind what kind of operation you want to run. And I'll give one example. I worked for 3 companies before I started InterSwitch. I called them the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay? People tell you it is not possible to do business in Nigeria without giving bribes. We don't do it in InterSwitch. Because you know you cannot do that, your business model has to change. Okay? So, in deciding what you want to do, if you talk about the ethics of your business, then you need to create a business where even if people don't like you, they will use you. So, for example, you and I can quarrel, but when you need cash from the ATM, you go and withdraw from the ATM. You don't remember that you quarreled with Mitchell, who works for InterSwitch. When I'm sleeping, and you go out for a party, and you need cash, or you need to pay with your card, you use your card to pay. So, it goes back again to determining what you want to become in the future, deciding the best business model to adopt. I ran a business where my friends were asking me for bribes every time they want to give me a job, for example. And one day I asked myself, this guy has a job. He's earning a salary every month. I don't have a full-time job in that sense. So I depend on the contract I win from him. So if I get the contract now, I don't know when the next one is going to come. So for the next 6 months, I may not have any other job to do. So I have to conserve. So when your friends start asking you for more money that you yourself are making from your business, you know it's the wrong business model. And I basically left that business, left it with my partners, and I went to start afresh. But you need to decide upfront what you can do and what you cannot do. Some of you may not be able to run this kind of business model, but if you want to grow a sustainable business, you don't think about that. Talent is scarce in Nigeria. You cannot get people who know stuff to do it. So what do? When we started InterSwitch, we had never worked in payments before. We didn't know payments. But we started training banks on payments. Where you don't have the knowledge, you go get it, and you get it in a manner that you can internalize it, institutionalize it, so they can use it to serve others. Okay? So that's something else. Talent is scarce. Think about it. We don't have good workers. How do you get workers into your company, keep them, and sustain the growth from there? The last point I'll make is every man wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to own their own business. And I know this one you guys will not agree with 100%, but I'll tell it to you. We believe in InterSwitch, for example, that every worker in InterSwitch should be a part owner of the business. I fundamentally believe that salaries don't make you rich. Salaries help you get by. If you take the view, therefore, that most people want to prosper and they want to be wealthy, when you employ someone, you need to give that person the opportunity to really become wealthy. And the monthly salary is not the way to make that happen. So things like profit share option schemes, and certain kind of bonuses that reward performance is critical. And you need to define that as part of your entire plan when you set up your business. Okay?
Thank you so much, sir. So right now we're going to connect to Bagada. We can give him another round of applause. Thank you. And if anyone has any more questions for Mr. Mitchell, just write it down and we'll have another panel session later on in the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
To what you are going through or what you went through and what happened, ma'am?
And then we started another company right after we graduated. And that was a company that did loyalty cards. We ran it for 7 months, it failed. And then we started another one called Push CV. That one still exists today. That was connecting people like us who were seeking jobs to employers, but in a very unique way in that we would test them by ourselves and then present people who were essentially pre-screened to employers. And then we ran that for 2 years. It grew. By the end of 2015, we started it in 2014. That Push TV had about 600,000 users on it. And then in December, on December 31st, we were heavy users of social media. So on Twitter that day, December 31st, 2015, some lady had a tweet that went viral. In a wooden box, an actual piggy bank, she had saved 1,000 naira every day for that year. And then she broke it, she took pictures, and then the tweet just went wild. And my co-founder actually saw the tweet and brought it to our WhatsApp group, right? So, but I think the really unique thing about the story is that our conversation wasn't about us getting wooden boxes as well. We were like, that was the conversation that was happening on social media. I'm gonna get a wooden box as well, I'm gonna get a wooden box as well. But we were talking about, I think we need to digitize this process because wooden boxes are not sustainable. And 2 weeks after that,
can I interrupt
yeah.
you? Because she just hit a milestone there. She just hit a milestone here. Sometimes, some of you are thinking of innovation. Sometimes, this is how you innovate. Four things. Number one, how do I make, the first one, how do I make it faster, cheaper, smaller?
Yeah.
How do I make it faster, cheaper, smaller? How do I combine things? Number two, how do I mix an old thing to a new thing and bring something new out of it? For example, people now serve palm wine in bottles, like you can buy in the fridge. Those days, palm wine used to be sold. You have to wait for someone. How do you just reinvent something? This is very powerful. Sir.
So that was the point I was going to, like, we don't consider PiggyVest a disrupting company. It was just improving on something that was existing. 2 weeks after that, we launched the most valuable product and launched it in beta. And that started the journey in January 2016, like learning. So we were also like 3 engineers. So none of us had like a financial background. And so it's been a learning process. So daily, in January when we launched, people started to adopt it and use it. So we didn't get funding. And the reason was because everybody was like, nah, this is going to fail. A bank is going to swallow you up. And so no one gave us money, and then we realized that we weren't going to be able to pay for money.
I could negotiate with Access Bank to help now.
So it's like, no one is going to fund us, but we have to get this thing out there to know whether it's viable or not. You have to understand that in between all of this, we have several failed companies, not just paroles. We had 500 dishes, 99 staff, ran, failed. So it was really imperative that before this one fails, let's understand whether it's a viable experiment or not. And so people started to use it, but what we did was we went back to the basics. We're all on Twitter, we're all on Instagram. The biggest currency for a viral tweet on Twitter or Facebook is a meme or a GIF. And so that's how we marketed PiggyVest for the first year. No money behind the tweets, no money behind the Instagram posts, just putting funny things out there and connecting it back to your money. And that's how we started. We learned a lot of things along the way, safety, OTPs, licenses, and all of that. But we essentially just started because we wanted to give it a try. And at the end of 2016, when the platform had saved 21 million naira, we were so excited that we wrote a whole blog post about it. We saved 21 million naira this year. Of course, we went on the next year to save about 700 million naira because of like just the consistency in the service that we provide. For us, it's 2 things really, because again, we realize that this is a journey, a very long one. We look at people who've gone ahead of us, right? Our role models are literally the top 5 banks. We don't look at anyone else. So GT Bank, Access Bank, and all those people, what's unique about them?
You don't look at me, you don't look at me.
No, so in 2013,
I don't inspire you.
In 20,
Like, this is the largest entrepreneurs forum gathering in Africa.
I'm now inspired.
I'm just kidding.
So in 2013, when we were about to graduate, there were 2 banks that did something very important, right? GT Bank and Access Bank actually sent people to Covenant University behind our hostels to open accounts for us. Right? We hadn't graduated, we didn't have any money, right? So it was like, why are they here? They came and got the next generation of people from when they were about to leave. Like, I wasn't going to go outside to open any other bank account, and I still use those accounts till today. Just because it's like, it was too stressful. So those 2 things, you meet your customers at the point of their needs. and you provide impeccable customer service, you grow with them. And that's what like Piggyvest is born like out of.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. And you know the amazing thing. I'm going to say this. You know, I mean it's here, so I'm going to say it. A lot of ladies that are aging our generation live lifestyle they are not funding. It's not just what they're funding. It's sometimes it becomes the norm for ladies that without a man I can't do so well. And it's just a lie. This is a young lady running and living her dreams. And every lady here, watching in all the centers, you can do it. We're Africans, and sometimes the African narrative limits what the woman can do. Of course, the woman has peculiarities and attention she has to pay. But you can pursue a dream and become what God wants you to be. And you should not let gender define success. I just wanted to just put that out there. Yes, I want to put that out there. Mr. Albert, you've gotten free advert already, you know, so you've gotten free advert already. And of course, not just because you are here, so Access Bank also did something for us. You may, of course, you don't know this. We have this program addresses the middle class. The very low classes, our Harvesters Enterpreneurship skill acquisition program. So we did a research and found out skills that really sell fast in Nigeria and need low turnover. So makeup, mixology, making drinks, website design. You don't really need a lot of money to start. So we run trainings for 4 or 5 days, and we've done 20,000 people. 10% of those people, they literally come making 0 naira. 10% of those people now make about 10 million naira every year. 10% of them from our documents. And I think last year, Access Bank gave the best 50,000 naira each to start their business. You know, Pastor, I'm right, right? And they did. You know, of course, I don't want to take from FCMB that's really helped us with this conference, and I can see that vice president over there. You know, I'm not taking anything away from them at all. All right, back to my question. You are doing things right now that even American banks are not doing. Question, how do you even think that way? Like, you know, the way we're taught is that America is a zenith. Like, see what America is doing, then come and start your own somewhere here. How do you think that way? How do you think that way that I just don't want to solve a problem, I want to solve it in a way that it has not even been solved before on the globe? And it makes sense to me, actually. Apart from Zelle in the US, I know there's this new app in the US also, Cash App. Yeah. Apart from Zelle and Cash App, I don't know, and Zelle is about 2 years. Apart from Zelle and Cash App, normally when you transfer money in the US, you just have to wait for it. Same in South Africa. South Africa is even worse. South Africa, sometimes you move money from APSA to FNB, or for FNB to, you know, to any of those banks, and it's just taking you 4 days. What they do is that they will not send you this letter that proves that money has been sent to you in real time. And you can call the customer care to confirm if it's real, and if it's, they will tell you. So how did you begin to think? Because, I mean, these are things that you began to think about yourself. Yes, sir?
I think exposure is most of it, definitely. Secondly, Michelle mentioned something.
I wanted to break down, you know, we are very different here. Yes, I wanted to break down this exposure.
Exposure is about training, it's about where you went to school, it's about networking, it's about making sure that you see what is happening in your own field, in other parts of the world. When I was making my presentation, I mentioned that, look, in 1994, we're trying to sell cards, normal debit cards. We couldn't. I couldn't sell 500,000 cards. Now, today, just to show you how people can leapfrog and what your mind does to you, right? We are basically making payments of the phone. Very soon, that will not even happen. You just walk past a merchant and you made a payment, all right? So the world is moving. The world is moving. And you can't allow your current circumstances to constrain you, all right? If you pick up your telephone, today you can pay literally across the world in 1 second. All right? If you have an Access Bank app, or perhaps other banks that have learned from it, and you can make that payment, and to get into that account instantaneously, whether I have a physical presence there or I do not.
What I want to ask you is this one, Max. How did you think, you know, because this was not existing
How
before.
did I think that?
Yes. So because I want to, the reason why is that I believe that there's also, anything that happens, a process in it. It might not be visible.
Yes.
Oh, we had a team meeting, how did you come up with that idea that was in the future? Because it was not something that was in the present. How did you bring about it? Oh, someone said in the team, it was a team meeting. For example, for Odun, they saw something on the app. Because I want people to realize.
Sweating. I've gone through it. I've failed, and the only thing I could do was to lock my office with my partner, and we rolled on the ground, crying physically and praying. But that was just two of us. But you stand up stronger.
You mean it was so bad?
Yes.
That you and your partner, you guys knelt down and you were literally crying.
You know, when you don't have problems, if you lie on this floor, the shirt will get dirty. If you have real problems, that white shirt, nothing will happen to it. No, it's happened. It's happened. I woke up one day in Ghana in the middle of my greatest despair. In fact, I didn't wake up. My partner was talking to me. I said, okay, so what's going to happen tomorrow? He said he needed to sleep. I said, no, you cannot sleep. We have to be talking till morning. Because how are you going to be able to sleep? I could not sleep. So when I got back to Nigeria, obviously I was exhausted. I said, how did he sleep? You know what he said? I had to clutch the Bible for me to sleep last night.
Wow.
We failed. You know, but the point is, failure is irrelevant. It's what you learn from it.
Oh.
It's what you learn from it. You know? It's what you learn from it. I've gone through the pain that is the equivalent in my heart of taking a razor blade to tear your heart. It's happened, and you feel it, literally, you feel that pain. I've lost friends who've not been able to basically carry that kind of pressure. Not one, not twice, not two. I've seen it. It's not I was told. They could not live with that pain or that failure, and they couldn't make it, and they literally died. Now, the point is, how have you trained your mind to convert it to success? Very difficult, very difficult. The first time, I never knew it was going to be possible, all right? But each time, and when it's coming, and you feel the wind when it's coming, all right, and you basically tell yourself, this is where I'm headed, you understand what I'm saying, and you solve it. But, how do you make sure it does not happen again? Well, the problem with these things is that they don't come in the same mode, all right? They never come in the same mode. You can never be too prepared. All right? The only thing is psychologically, and I learned it from a much older friend of mine, is for you to be in the right mindset to convert that problem or that failure into success. You know, I was told something. Somebody told me something. I said, you know, each time they try to match you or put you down, they don't know that planting a seed. You know, you think a system is trying to force you down. They don't know that they've actually planted a seed that is going to germinate. The question is, how do you harness your resources right after to get bigger and better? That's what it is.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Show me a man who has never failed, he has never succeeded.
Did you hear that? Show me a man that's never failed, he has never succeeded. All right, Odu, I'm going to call this way. Odu, 3 business obstacles you had to overcome.
Okay. Well, the first one is funding.
Funding.
Yes.
How many people have had funding issues?
That's everyone. Yeah.
Funding is so spiritual that even the church has funding issues. Like our church closed down for 3 months, no service, because we're looking for 3,000 naira. Can you imagine that?
So yeah, funding was very difficult. I mean, in hindsight, understandable. At the time, the first business we ever started, I was 19. My both partners were 20, and we were telling people to invest in us. So they were like, no, no, no. So that business failed. And so funding was the reason for the failure. And we have funding issues.
So funding was one?
Yeah, because of like Nigerian startup space. We don't have a lot of cash moving into tech yet. It's increasing. But
so that's the funding issue?
Yeah.
Did you have people that spoke against you because of your sex?
Oh, of course. I was going to get to that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so personally for me, yeah, there was the sexism and then, you know, slight racism from the white people that are here. Right, from when you meet like foreign investors who are Caucasian. Yeah, yeah. So it's like in tech, right? Tech has been largely white, right? It's not, I think that finance has a heads up on us in that it's been existing. Black people have made inroads, but in tech, for Facebook, for Snapchat, the faces have always been white men. And then you go in there, you request for money, and then some people are asking you, are you sure you can do this business? What happens when you get married and have children? I don't want to sink my money in a family woman. Or someone asking you, or you walk into a meeting, and you are immediately assumed to be the one there to take notes, not the one to answer the questions. So microaggressions, and you know, they don't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? I grew up with 2 lecturers for parents, and my dad, my mom, they didn't raise us to think like, because you're a woman, there's things you can't do. In fact, my dad told me, don't study computer science, why not do engineering? And that's the kind of like environment that we were raised in, is to believe that you can do whatever. So did I face sexism? Yes. Did sexism somehow affect me? No, it kind of fueled why we need representation. We need women in places of visibility, right? So that's second thing.
Women, I thought we were going to give it up.
Thank you.
Where are the Deborahs? Where are the Esthers? I thought we were going to, yeah.
And then the third thing is, I'll call it the Nigerian factor, trust. Trust is an issue when you're a young company, a tech-focused company, trying to operate in a legacy space. So it's that one, I don't know, it's an ongoing thing. As of today, Piggyverse now has about 1.1 million users, but we still have people who ask, are you guys real? What if you run away with my money? And those are all fair questions, considering the landscape that we operate in. So every day we have to work to surmount that roadblock of trust and just continue to gain customers' trust. So those 3 things.
Awesome, Dr. Israel. 2 obstacles. two obstacles on your journey?
Oh, like I said, the biggest obstacle to this business have been that we have, like she said, African investors are not generally used to technology businesses. So getting investors from here to put their money in a business that you are saying this is...
We invest in real estate where we see the money. The only estate that is real.
So that's a major challenge. However, I think, you mentioned the other time, I have failed so many times. I set up a mortgage bank around 2003, it failed. Until I went full-blown investment banking in 2008. But in between, just like Mr. Wigwe mentioned, Dr. Wigwe mentioned, I've also gone through a situation where between 2013 to 2016, we invested excess of $5 million in tech businesses in Nigeria, and we lost everything. Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
We lost everything.
Hold on. No. I want to know this. It's not the money mentioned. And this is when we are concerned with 5 million. That's not like the other ones. I want to know that all of us have something in common on this table. We're all failures before. He failed. She failed. He failed. I failed. So why? So the problem that you're a success, that I've done nothing. Because like what he said before, he said, no man has succeeded except they failed before. Show me a man that has never failed. He has not succeeded. So the reason why you are a success is because you have done nothing. Success of what? Nothing. So please, I don't want to just change the thinking. I want to rephrase the question. We're going to take some questions now. I know there's a standby for questions. Wow. So many questions over here. Should we take your question first? Okay, let's go. Let's welcome our moderator for the question.
Thank you. They're clapping. It's all right. Clap. It's your hand pinning you. You can be clapping. It's all right. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We'll take questions from the house here first, and then we'll take a few questions from Lekki. Very quickly, please do not ask questions that Google can answer. Ask questions that will bring more insight from our speakers. Do I have a first hand over here?
Also, we're going to take live questions.
Live questions from the room right now.
And let me add to this. If you want to make it easy, they're going to put the social media handles on the screen, especially my own. I just got my, there's a social media phone here, and I can just read it out. Just to find out the last post I have, the last post on Entrepreneurs Forum, just write the questions behind, I'll just read it. So you can just follow and put it there. If you can't follow it, we can send you feedbacks or questions later directed to resources. Yes, please.
Okay, first question there. Please say your name and tell us who your question is directed at.
Good afternoon. My name is Abiola.
Are you in business? What
Yes, I run a tech business.
Okay.
My question is to Odunayo. So you said when you were starting out PiggyVest, nobody really believed in you and nobody wanted to support you. So my question is, how do you go about it when you have an idea and you're trying to start and nobody really believes in your vision, and how do you get that credibility and trust for people to really believe in what you do?
I've seen that it's two things. Number one, you need to be 100% sure that the idea that you're working on is a need, right? There's two things you say in tech. Is your solution a painkiller or a vitamin, right? Vitamins are lifestyle things that people can do without. Painkillers are things that people absolutely cannot live without, right? Is your solution really, really a need? If it is, then keep working on it, right? There's no like formula or science to it. Eventually, in Nigeria, what I've noticed is you keep working at it, you keep doing what you're doing, eventually someone takes notice, right? That's essentially how it was for us. And I've spoken to my friends, I have some friends in the ecosystem. That's how it is. You keep doing what you think is best. Like, does Nigeria need this? The answer is yes, then don't stop.
Thank you very much. We have time for a question. I can see a hand over here. Please straight to the point. Speakers, panelists, please allow us to collate the questions and then you'll have time to answer all of them at once. Just
okay.
So that we...
Good afternoon. My name is Stanley. Please, I want to direct my question to Dr. Wigwe. I want to know what efforts the banks, especially Access Bank, is making to educate Nigerian entrepreneurs on how to sell our products outside this country. I'm talking about exports, because I realize that many entrepreneurs don't even know how to sell whatever product they have outside the country.
Okay,
That
thank
knowledge
you.
is not very, very here.
Thank you. Please, question from this end, please.
Can we have the question from the East Auditorium? From the back, let's go to the back. We've taken someone from the front. Can we go to the next,
George?
or the people, especially people watching, I mean, there are several hundreds of people in the next auditorium that are watching on the screen.
George?
From the back, you know, so we
There's a
can move the
hand
question
straight up
there.
front.
Yes.
Yes.
Just go to the back, someone can move to the next auditorium and we can do that. While we're doing that, I'm just going to ask, okay, you have a question?
Yes, we have a question right there.
Yes.
Hello?
What?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Where
Go
are you?
ahead. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Yes,
Hold on,
please.
time. We'll take the lady first. We'll take the lady. There's a lady there. We just need to be sensitive to that. Yeah, there's a lady there. Yes, please. The microphone is not working.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Benedicta, and the question I have is this. I'm actually into experiential marketing, and I've been like from the grassroots as a brand ambassador into the roadshow. Now, by the grace of God, I'm like the number 3 where I work, and I have a passion, which is cooking.
What's your question?
My question is this. Now I have a passion, which is cooking. I've been into catering, and I want to start my own business. But the question is, where do you draw the line where you know when you are supposed to leave where you're working and go full-time into your business? How do you manage it that you don't compromise in delivering to your employer?
Okay, we got it. From the other auditorium, can we get a question there?
Do we have a mic in the next auditorium? There's another woman at the back of the room, sir.
Okay,
Can we
yes,
take that?
yes,
Quickly.
Okay, my name is Sarah, and I have a question. My question is very different because this what we've been hearing since is just more about, I don't know how to classify mine. Okay, let me say
What's your question?
My question is, I'm into teaching, that's teaching the Chinese language.
Teaching HIV what?
Chinese.
Okay, I don't know if it's sure.
Okay, Chinese language.
Okay, Mandarin.
Okay, so with your experiences and everything, I don't know, what advice can you give on how to move it further to make, like create more awareness, or how to make it in a bigger way?
Okay.
Thank you. From the next hall?
From the next hall. No, but,
We have one
They
question
brought them
from the
here.
next hall?
Oh, okay.
We do.
Okay.
We do,
Yes.
from the next hall.
Thank you for the class. It was really very...
Okay, the person next, so thank you. We appreciate all the accolades. We really thank
Okay.
you. All our speakers are great. Just
Okay,
for me,
I
a
want to
question.
just ask, how do you cope with the waiting period? The time where you're starting to the time where you actually achieve where you want to be, because it can really be a lot of struggle where you don't have finance, you don't have, your client base is not where you expect them to be.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful.
So how do you cope with that period?
Pastor B, can we go to Lekki?
Yes, let's go to Lekki.
Lekki, please. Let's take 2 questions from Lekki right now.
Very quickly. The first question is from Larry.
We obviously know the change in government policies and regulations. What advice would you give to adapt and to prepare for these changes? For instance, the OPay, what happened in terms of government banning them? Thank you.
And a very quick question from the second person, Mr. Tony.
Yeah, hello. My name is Nii Jayola. One major challenge, we face in starting up businesses is in making the choice of business partners. So what important factors should we consider when we are making the choice of business partner? Because, no one person has all the capabilities it takes to scale a business or build a business that has African reach from this part of the world.
Thank you very much.
We facing
All right, thank you very much, Lekki. Are we taking from Anthony or Keja? Or can I just
Not
go?
immediately. After this first set of answered, we'll go to Anthony and.
All right, so I think, Mr. Ebert, the first question is yours. It's about Access Bank. So, what is Access Bank doing?
Very simple. We run different symposia. We do have an office in China. We have an office in India. We have an office not in Germany particularly, but what we do is we bring together people who have needs in these countries, all right, and people who produce out of Nigeria and see how we can match them. So in Nigeria, we have what we call a China desk. So that each time you have a Nigerian businessman going to China, he has references as to who to sell his products to, if you get the point I'm trying to make. So those references do exist. Each time you have Chinese people coming from China, because the point is there is a trust issue and, all right, a platform issue. How do I meet reliable people that I can sell products to, etc., etc. So we do that. So that happens, and we also have the same thing for German products, all right? So those are the two countries where we've been able to create the appropriate platform to ensure that exporters can use that window, or people who want to import can use that window, as well as financing, all right? If German businesses want to come and set up here, they can basically access money to come here. If Nigerian entrepreneurs want to sell things to Germany, they can access funding from here through German banks, by the way, all right, to basically export to those markets. So those things are happening. But I think the point is they're not happening to the depth that they should happen. And the simple reason is, how much exports do we truly do as a country? All right? How competitive are we in the pricing of the goods that we create? What is the quality of those goods? Until you can address those fundamental needs, the volume of exports.
I want to reiterate something. All of you are thinking of exports. He just said because, maybe because I pastor people, I'm able to know where it hits. One, the quality. You want to export, can what you export meet international quality? Two, when it meets international quality, is the pricing, is it going to be expensive? So these are the things that affect.
Those are the critical things. Yes. But if you do meet those needs, or rather if you meet those standards, all right, there is room for exports. And everybody should be encouraged, by the way, all right, to do exports, because that is what can help sustain our economy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Israel, waiting period, what do you do?
My advice is just this: first of all, you cannot even start if you are not ready. I had a lady there asking the question about, I'm working somewhere and I want to start something. I always tell people, and my advice to budding entrepreneurs is to say, always have a side hustle somewhere before you make the move. It's really not easy. We can keep talking about entrepreneurship. I tell you, it's a battlefield. It's not a playing field at all. It's a battlefield. So you got to be very ready. Have the right partner and the rest of them. But more importantly, for that lady, my advice to you, you're already a celebrity. Make sure that you stick where you are, create your structure, and test the market, and be sure that you are truly ready before you pull out. That's my advice.
Okay. I'm a pastor, and I get this question often because people think that, Pastor, what do you when should I step out and all of those things? And this is what I tell you. Start the business when you're having a job. Once that business can pay something between 70 or 80% of your current living expenses, like maybe you earn 10 million, that business can bring you between 7 million-ish, that kind of thing. I would ask you to step out. The reason why is this. If while you're doing part-time, you can do 7 million. If you give full-time work to it, it would explode some more. But what that also means is that even if business does not grow, your drop in standard of living is still marginal. It's not collapse totally. But it's just like when people say, I want to marry potential. Some say, Pastor, I don't say. See, I don't believe in marrying potential. Let me just be honest. I believe in marrying patterns. So potential is that he wants to become. Pattern is that what has he done? It doesn't have to be big, but I can see record of